Valentine's Day has never been a dramatic holiday for me. I'm a 38-year-old executive. I live in numbers, schedules, and measurable outcomes. But this year, I let myself do something sentimental. I booked a quiet corner table at L'Auberge, our favorite French place, arranged for a limited wine pairing, and even placed a small gift box under my coat, a vintage fountain pen my husband, Marcus, had admired for months. I arrived 10 minutes early, touched up my lipstick, and watched the door with a calm anticipation I hadn't felt in years. Marcus walked in 33 minutes late. The first thing I noticed wasn't the tardiness. It was the subtle crack in the image I'd always protected, a faint smear on his collar, like someone had brushed against him in a rush. His tie was crooked, and, worst of all, his wedding ring wasn't on his hand. My stomach tightened, not from jealousy, but from the precision of the detail. Marcus didn't misplace things. Ever. He gave me a tired smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Traffic," he muttered, sliding into his seat. "Let's not ruin the night with questions." A waiter approached with menus, and Marcus immediately waved him off. That used to signal confidence. Tonight it felt like performance. I asked, quietly, "Where's your ring?" His jaw flexed. "Don't start. Please. Not here." A familiar line. The modern variation of "don't make a scene." Before I could respond, his phone vibrated on the table, face up. The screen lit in a tight, intimate pink glow. A contact name I had never seen flashed, Lena Redhart. The call label underneath hit harder than the name, Valentine reminder. Marcus exhaled sharply, grabbed his phone, and declined the call like the device had burned him. He forced a laugh. Wrong number. It was the kind of dismissive humor meant to disarm me, but I had built companies, negotiated hostile takeovers, and read men lying across conference tables and dinner tables alike. This wasn't wrong number. This was someone who thought she was expected to remind him about their date. I stayed still, my fork hovering above untouched bread. My pulse didn't rise. My face didn't heat. Emotional control is my native language. "Marcus," I said evenly, "if there's a wrong number in your phone saved with a heart, I'd love to hear how that works." His lips pressed together, annoyance rising. "Let's not do this, okay? It's Valentine's. Can you relax?" Relax. A classic pivot. He lifted his wine glass as if to toast to normalcy, but the hand holding it trembled for a split second. Not fear, anticipation. As though something else was scheduled for later, and my presence was an unexpected complication. The waiter returned with rose petals and a small candle the restaurant placed on couples' tables. He set it down between us, and the soft glow illuminated Marcus's collar again, revealing the faint outline of a lipstick mark rubbed half clean. The crack widened. I leaned back, studying him as if he were a quarterly report missing numbers. "You forgot our date," I said quietly. "You only remembered because she called." Marcus froze. "You're being dramatic." "No. Drama was for people who screamed." I was calculating. While he pretended to browse the menu, my vision widened to the room around us, 2 tables over, his sister Amelia watching us too closely, at the bar, a cousin pretending not to overhear. Family politics always sharpened on holidays. Any misstep tonight would spread like wildfire through group chats I was never included in. Social pressure tightened like a rope. Don't embarrass him. Don't ruin the dinner. Don't confirm the rumors. Don't give them something to talk about. But the thing about pressure? It doesn't scare someone who's mastered leverage. Marcus cleared his throat. "Can we reset tonight? Please?" Resetting only works when the other side isn't already playing offense. I placed the gift box on the table, not sliding it toward him, just letting him see it. "I planned something thoughtful," I said calmly. "You planned something else." His eyes darted to the box in guilt, but he said nothing. Inside, rage simmered, not the chaotic kind, but the structured kind that fuels strategy. The kind that builds a plan while the room still thinks you're choosing dessert. And as he turned away to signal the waiter again, I felt the promise form quietly, coldly, unmistakably. I will find every piece of the truth, and I won't be the one who loses anything when it surfaces. Viewer question number 1. If your partner's Valentine reminder call came from someone else entirely, what would you do in that moment? I smiled politely at Marcus as the waiter returned with wine, but my mind was already moving 3 steps ahead, preparing to follow the crack in the mirror of our marriage until it shattered cleanly in my hands. Marcus tried to pretend the call had never happened, but the air between us thickened with the pressure only dishonesty creates. He spoke lightly about weekend plans, a new project at work, even our daughter Mia's science fair, but each word felt like it had been placed there to keep me from asking the questions he feared. I let him talk. Listening gives people room to reveal themselves. Midway through the main course, a small shift occurred, subtle enough that most people would have missed it. Marcus kept glancing toward the entrance, not in distraction, but in anticipation. Every time the restaurant door opened, he straightened slightly before covering it with a sip of wine. Someone was, supposed to arrive. A seed planted. I cut into my salmon while watching him in my peripheral vision. Who are you expecting? I asked quietly. He scoffed, too fast. Nobody. But the denial came with a tell. He adjusted his collar again, rubbing the spot where the lipstick stain had been. The gesture wasn't nervous. It was habitual. Prepared. A man trying to keep the past hour from bleeding into the present. Across the room, Amelia, his sister, pretended to laugh at something her husband said, but her eyes kept sliding toward us. When our gazes met, she didn't look away. She smirked. A small, smug, knowing smirk. I had seen that expression during family arguments, estate discussions, charity nights where they treated me like a guest instead of a wife. It meant she believed I didn't know something she was certain would devastate me. People don't smirk unless they feel safe. Untouchable. Which made her reaction more revealing than she intended. Marcus reached for my hand across the table. Let's not drag this out. I promise everything's fine. Fine. A word that means nothing and hides everything. The waiter brought dessert menus. Marcus avoided eye contact now, focusing too heavily on the list of sweets, tapping his fingers against the tablecloth. Seconds later, his phone buzzed again, face down this time. He snatched it quickly and slipped it into his jacket pocket without looking. Work, he said curtly. Work doesn't send pink-hearted reminders. Work doesn't need to call twice in an hour on Valentine's Day. I didn't respond. Silence is often more damning than accusation. He swung his arm toward the edge of the table to reach for his water glass, and for a moment, I noticed something unusual, a faint, sweet scent still clinging to his sleeve. Not my perfume. Not any perfume I owned. It was floral, jasmine with a trace of vanilla. Unique enough to remember. Another seed. I reached into my bag for a napkin, and when I glanced up again, I caught a low conversation happening across the restaurant. Amelia was whispering to her cousin Tessa, her eyes cutting sharply toward us. They weren't just watching, they were waiting. Waiting for me to break? To cry? To storm out? They'd wanted that for years, proof that I wasn't as controlled, polished, or intelligent as Marcus had married into. People always reveal their hopes through their stares. Tonight, they hoped to see me fail. Marcus suddenly cleared his throat. Hey, he said, forcing a smile. Let's take Mia to the lakeside this weekend. Just us. Fresh start. Fresh start. The more he spoke of resets, the more obvious it became that something had already been set in motion long before I ever sat down at this table. Then came the final push, a careless slip he didn't realize he made. He tapped his phone through his jacket pocket and muttered, I told her I might be late. Her. The word landed softly, but the damage was sharp and instant. He froze, his jaw locking as he realized what he'd said. I met his eyes, steady as a leveled blade. You told who? I asked. He opened his mouth, closed it, then leaned back as if the chair had betrayed him by reclining too far. A coworker. Chill. Coworkers don't get hearts next to their names. And no coworker calls on Valentine's night to remind a married man about anything. The suspicion wasn't a spark anymore. It was a quiet, growing flame. I folded my napkin neatly on the table. Marcus, you're lying to the wrong person. You know that, right? He swallowed. You're overthinking. But my instincts, the same instincts that had helped me navigate mergers, acquisitions, and boardroom betrayals, were sharpening. Something wasn't just off. Something was coordinated. Timed. Hidden behind family glances and pink-hearted reminders. As we stepped out of the restaurant, the cold night air hit my face, clearing the last fog of doubt. Marcus walked ahead slightly, shoulders tense, searching the parking lot. And I followed, now fully awake, knowing the truth wasn't waiting to be found. It was waiting to reveal itself. The drive home was quiet, but not peaceful. Marcus gripped the steering wheel with the kind of tension men use when they're building an alibi in real time. Streetlights slid across his face in narrow, cold beams, highlighting every flicker of impatience. I watched him without looking directly, studying the tiny details, his breathing, the small swallow he did whenever he was cornered, the way his thumb tapped against the wheel in a rhythm that wasn't nerves, but communication. Anticipation. Someone was expecting him. When we stopped at a red light, he finally spoke. Look, he said, today was stressful at work. I'm sorry if I was distracted. If I had been the woman he thought I was, guilty, fragile, easy to gaslight, maybe I'd have softened. But I'd spent years running strategic teams and dealing with executives who blended truth and fiction as easily as they blended coffee. You were distracted, I replied casually, because she called. His jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it this time. Silence is a confession in its own right. We pulled into the driveway, and the porch lights cast a warm glow across the front of the house. It should have felt comforting. Instead, the glow made the faint lipstick smear on his collar even more obvious. Marcus noticed me staring, quickly brushed his sleeve across it, and stepped inside ahead of me. The moment we entered, I noticed something subtle yet impossible to ignore, the faint smell of jasmine and vanilla lingering in the hallway. The same scent that had clung to his sleeve. A second suspicious detail wasn't just emerging. It was announcing itself. I removed my coat slowly, letting my eyes travel across the entryway. Marcus was pretending to straighten family photos on the wall, avoiding my gaze entirely. And then he said something he hadn't said in years. Let's not talk about this tonight. Let's enjoy the rest of the evening. Translation: he needed time to clean something up. Before I could respond, a sound drifted from the kitchen, a soft vibration. Marcus shot toward it, a flash of urgency in his step. My feet were silent as I followed him down the hall. He reached the counter and snatched up his phone. But it wasn't the only one. Next to it, half hidden behind the fruit bowl, lay a second phone. Smaller. Older. Matte black. And unmistakably not his. A burner phone. He didn't see me notice it. He grabbed his regular phone and immediately angled the screen away, yet I caught a glimpse, a short preview of a text. Are you still coming? I thought we said 9. Coming where? Meeting who? And why did Amelia smirk through an entire dinner? The second seed had fully taken root. I stepped back before he turned around, pretending to look at mail on the counter. He walked past me and said, I'm going to take a shower. I need to clear my head. Showers wash lipstick, perfume, and guilt. Go ahead, I said smoothly. When he disappeared upstairs, I stood alone in the kitchen, the jasmine scent still floating faintly like a ghost. My mind connected pieces faster than my pulse could rise. Amelia's smirk, the late arrival, the missing ring, the burner phone. I told her I might be late. None of these were coincidences. Someone in the family circle knew what was happening. Maybe more than one. As I picked up a glass of water, footsteps sounded behind me. It wasn't Marcus. It was his younger cousin, Lena, someone who often dropped by unannounced under the guise of helping with Mia or checking in. Tonight, she stepped through the back door, still wearing her Valentine red coat. She froze when she saw me. Oh. I thought Marcus was alone. Her eyes darted, not at me, but toward the kitchen counter. Toward the burner phone she clearly hadn't expected me to notice. And then her expression shifted into something almost pitying. "I'm sure everything's fine," she said softly, too softly. "Just don't ruin the night." The same script. The same warning. The same pressure. Don't make a scene. Don't ask questions. Don't disturb the family image. Image pressure was officially in motion. I smiled at her, but there was no warmth in it. "Thanks for the advice," I said. "I'll handle my marriage." She opened her mouth as if to add something, then thought better of it and left quickly, the scent of jasmine trailing behind her as the door clicked shut. That was the moment the final piece slid into place. Lena wore the same perfume that had been on Marcus's sleeve. And someone who wears jasmine and vanilla doesn't accidentally show up at 9 p.m. on Valentine's Day. Viewer question number 2. If you saw a second phone hidden in your kitchen, would you confront your spouse immediately, or wait and gather proof? I turned off the kitchen lights, letting the house fall silent except for the sound of running water upstairs. Suspicion wasn't suspicion anymore. It was certainty forming in the dark, waiting for proof to surface. Steam drifted from the upstairs bathroom door, and I knew Marcus was scrubbing away whatever evidence clung to him. Showers erase perfume, but they don't erase patterns. They don't erase timelines. They don't erase truth. I walked into my office, my sanctuary, closing the door quietly behind me. The room smelled faintly of cedar and printer ink, grounding me. My desk sat immaculate, as always, the drawers arranged by logic and purpose. Tonight, I opened the drawer where I kept household files, receipts, confirmations, schedules. Marcus never touched this drawer. He said it made him feel like he was staring into my brain. Maybe he should have paid more attention. I wasn't looking for anything specific, just following instinct. Affairs leave footprints, even when the people involved think they're floating. I began flipping through folders, school emails, tax documents, repair invoices. Then I reached the travel folder, one we hadn't opened in months. Except, it had been moved. I could tell by the position of the corner tab. A tiny detail, but I measure my life in details. The folder wasn't flush with the others. It had been pulled out then shoved back in at an angle, as if by someone in a hurry. Inside were our past travel confirmations, Hawaii, Denver, New York. But between those familiar papers sat a printout I had never seen. A travel booking. Not under my name. Not under his name either. It was booked under M. Hayes, a lazy attempt to mask identity but close enough to Marcus's full name to avoid suspicion from hotel staff. The destination? A boutique resort in Clearwater. The check-in time? Tonight at 10:30 p.m. And the booking? Marked for 2 guests. My heart didn't drop. It hardened. The confirmation email timestamp showed it had been printed at 4:12 p.m., just hours before our dinner. The reservation also included an add-on, a Valentine's rose arrangement delivered to the room at 11. A room he clearly expected to be inside. But there was something else on the page. At the bottom, in fine print, a note, reservation adjusted by phone. And below it, the name of the staff member who handled the change. The timestamp of the adjustment was 7:27 p.m., right when Marcus had stepped outside at the restaurant claiming he needed fresh air. He hadn't been clearing his head. He'd been confirming the room. The unique proof didn't scream. It whispered. Quiet, undeniable, complete. A travel booking for a night he'd planned to spend with someone wearing jasmine and vanilla. A woman brave enough, or stupid enough, to drop by my house tonight. I heard the shower shut off upstairs. I slid the travel printout into a different folder, my personal one. Not to hide it, but to preserve it. This wasn't the moment for confrontation. Not yet. I needed to see the rest of the truth. And if Marcus had planned a 10:30 p.m. arrival, the rest of the puzzle would surface before then. I walked out of my office, calm and collected, and stood in the hallway as Marcus stepped out of the bathroom in a t-shirt and sweats, water still dripping from his hair. His expression softened when he saw me, as if he believed a shower had cleansed his guilt. "You're quiet," he said. "I'm tired," I replied evenly. He approached, leaning in for a kiss he had absolutely no right to offer. I turned my head subtly, enough to reject without making a spectacle. His eyes narrowed a bit. "Don't start this tonight," he warned softly. "Please." Warnings always come from people who believe they still control the narrative. He walked past me toward the bedroom. "I'm going to lie down for a minute." By lie down, he meant by time before leaving at exactly the right window to avoid suspicion. I let him go. But I wasn't alone. Because as he entered the bedroom, I heard footsteps creak in the hallway downstairs, soft, hesitant steps. Someone was back in the house. When I reached the staircase landing, I saw her. Lena. Red coat still on. Fingers twisting anxiously. Eyes darting everywhere but at me. She whispered, "Is Marcus here?" I need to talk to him." Of course she did. The room reservation demanded coordination. And if Marcus didn't show up by 10:30, she needed answers. Instead of responding, I descended the stairs slowly. Controlled. Absolutely calm. "Why would you need my husband at 10 at night on Valentine's Day?" I asked. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Not even a lie. She wasn't here to help with Mia. She wasn't dropping by. She wasn't checking in. She was participating. In the booking. In the timing. In the deception. And judging by the terror flickering across her face, she realized I knew far more than she expected. Upstairs, Marcus's phone buzzed. Downstairs, Lena flinched. My proof was already in my folder. Now I just needed the confession without asking for it. Everything was falling into place exactly the way it needed to. Lena's panic was immediate, raw, and unpolished, proof she wasn't built for secrets, only for participating in them. Her fingers shook as she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her jasmine vanilla perfume clinging to the air like a guilty ghost. I think Marcus texted me earlier," she stammered. "I just wanted to check if he's okay. Not check if you both are okay. Just him. Always him." I stepped off the last stair, slow and deliberate, letting the wooden floor creak under my heel. "He's fine," I said, keeping my voice level. "You're the one who seems nervous." She swallowed hard. "I'm not, this is just awkward. Only for people who lie badly." She paled, her eyes darting toward the kitchen counter where the burner phone had been. Except it wasn't there anymore. Someone had moved it. Possibly Marcus. Possibly her. Either way, the timing confirmed the coordination. Before she could respond, Marcus called from upstairs. "Babe? Who are you talking to?" Lena froze. Her breath caught. She wasn't ready for him to know she'd been caught downstairs again. That alone told me everything about the imbalance of whatever they had. She wasn't the mastermind, she was the liability. I didn't answer him. Marcus appeared at the top of the stairs, wiping his hair with a towel, casual in a way that made him look oblivious compared to the fear pulsing in Lena's face. His expression shifted instantly when he saw her. "Lena," he snapped. "What are you doing here?" The tone wasn't affectionate. It wasn't warm. It was panic. She stepped back. You weren't answering." He descended the stairs fast, trying to wedge himself between us, but I didn't move. I let him stand there with his hair dripping and his guilt showing like a spotlight. "What's going on?" he demanded, eyes flicking between us. I tilted my head, studying him the same way I assessed CEOs who underestimated me during negotiations. She came to check on you, I said lightly. Again. Marcus's nostrils flared. This is a misunderstanding. Which part? I asked. The perfume that's on your sleeve? The text you got at the restaurant? The burner phone in our kitchen? Or the travel booking at Clearwater tonight? Lena's breath hitched. Marcus went still. For a moment, just a moment, he considered trying to deny all of it. I saw the calculation flicker in his eyes, lie big enough, lie fast enough, make me doubt myself. But he forgot who he married. He exhaled through his teeth. You went through my things. No, I corrected calmly. I went through my drawer. The one where you left a printed booking for a boutique hotel room with roses delivered at 11 p.m. Not very subtle. Lena whispered, Marcus, you told me she never checked that stuff. He whipped around to glare at her. Lena, stop talking. Ah. And there it was, the hierarchy of betrayal. He didn't love her. He used her. He promised her things he never intended to deliver. And he assumed I'd be too busy, too trusting, too predictable to notice. How long? I asked, not out of heartbreak, but for the record. How long have you been lying to me? Marcus dragged a hand over his face. You're blowing this out of proportion. Gaslighting. Predictable, boring gaslighting. I stepped closer, maintaining a calmness he mistook for vulnerability until it was too late. I'm not asking for emotion. I'm asking for clarity. Because at 10:30 p.m., you were supposed to be in Clearwater. With her. So let's not waste each other's time. Lena shifted uneasily. Marcus, she knows everything. She doesn't know everything, he bit out. She's assuming. That's the problem with assumptions, I said softly. Eventually, the truth catches up. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded sheet, the travel booking. His face drained. You planned a romantic night with her, I said, keeping my voice even. A night you funded with our shared account. That hit him like a physical blow. You checked the card? I check everything, I replied. It's why the life you enjoy exists. Lena's eyes widened. He used your card? Marcus, are you insane? He snapped, shut up. But she wasn't shutting up anymore. Why didn't you tell me you were using her money for the trip? You said. Marcus barked, stop talking, Lena. The facade shattered. He reached for my arm, attempting a gentle tone. Let's go upstairs and talk privately. We can fix this. I stepped back, letting his hand grasp nothing but air. You don't get a private conversation. Not anymore. In that moment, something shifted in his face, fear, not of losing me, but of losing everything I provided, stability, reputation, wealth, structure, the house, the lifestyle he'd grown addicted to. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. Instead, I delivered the one sentence that ended any leverage he thought he had. You've violated our marital financial agreement, Marcus. And that gives me full legal authority to freeze every joint asset tonight. His breath caught. Lena's hand flew to her mouth. The power flipped so fast the room vibrated with it. And I turned toward the office, toward my laptop, toward the documents, toward the plan he never saw coming. Leaving him behind with the consequences he chose. I walked into my office with steady steps, the same steps I used when entering boardrooms moments before announcing decisions that reshaped entire divisions. Behind me, I heard Marcus whisper shouting at Lena, frantic, confused, desperate. The illusion of control he'd clung to all night was evaporating faster than the shower steam still drifting from upstairs. I sat at my desk, woke my laptop, and opened the marital financial agreement, the one he'd signed willingly 5 years ago after his first misunderstanding with money. It wasn't designed for romance. It was designed for protection. Mine. Within minutes, I initiated a freeze on every joint account. our investments, our cards, our credit lines, paused. Not deleted, not stolen, not sabotaged. Just protected. Financial boundaries, crisp and clean, like a perfectly sharpened blade. Marcus rushed into the office doorway. "What are you doing?" he demanded, breath unsteady. "Securing my home," I said, eyes still on the screen. "And my daughter's future. You can't just freeze our accounts. We have bills, responsibilities." I turned the monitor toward him so he could see the confirmation screen. "You funded a romantic Valentine's trip with our shared money. You violated the agreement. This is the consequence." His face shifted through denial, panic, then anger. "You're punishing me because you're jealous." Jealous? That was the best he had? I leaned back in my chair, folding my hands calmly. "No, Marcus. I'm holding you accountable because you spent our money on a mistress. And because you lied to my face while coordinating the timing of a hotel check-in." Lena lingered in the hallway, frozen in guilt, perfume trailing in a wilted cloud. "I didn't think she'd find out," she whispered pathetically. Marcus snapped at her again. "Stop talking." But he had no control left, not over her, not over me, not over the rapidly shrinking future he thought he could manipulate. I stood, smoothing my blouse. "Here's how this is going to work. You will pack a bag and stay at a hotel, alone, for the next few days. I've already texted my attorney, and she'll call tomorrow morning. We'll discuss custody schedules, access to the house, and asset division." "You can't kick me out," Marcus shouted. "I'm not kicking you out," I said coolly. "I'm giving you space to think about what you've done. Which is more than you gave me tonight." His voice dropped into something almost pleading. "I made a mistake. Don't destroy our family over this." "You didn't make a mistake," I replied. "You made a reservation." A silence settled. Heavy. Final. Marcus turned on Lena then, anger spilling toward the nearest target. "This is your fault. You shouldn't have come back." She flinched. "Don't put this on me, Marcus. You told me she'd never know." I stepped between them, my posture controlled, immutable. "No one forced either of you," I said. "Own what you chose." Lena dropped her eyes. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, realizing there was no narrative left to twist, no version of events he could spin that wouldn't collapse under the weight of the evidence. "Go pack," I repeated quietly. He opened his mouth again, then saw something in my face that finally made him stop. Not rage, not heartbreak, not jealousy. Consistency. The calm certainty he had always mistaken for softness. He left the room. I waited until I heard drawers open upstairs before turning to Lena. "You should go," I said, not harshly, but factually. She nodded, cheeks flushed with humiliation. She understood now that the version of Marcus she'd been given was fiction, and the cost was landing squarely at her feet. When the door closed behind her, the house exhaled. Quiet. Still. A strange peace filled the space where chaos had lived for hours. Later, after Marcus left with a small overnight bag and a face full of confusion he couldn't hide, I stood in Mia's room. She slept curled with her stuffed fox, unaware of the tectonic shift happening under our roof. I brushed a hand through her hair, anchored by the reminder of what mattered. By midnight, I was back in my office, drafting plans, not revenge, not destruction, but reconstruction. A new budget. A new timeline. A new set of boundaries. A new life built on clarity, not compromise. The symbolic moment arrived almost by accident. As I reached to file the travel booking into my evidence folder, I noticed the empty space where Marcus's framed photo used to sit. I'd moved it earlier in the week without thinking. Now, it wouldn't be coming back. I replaced it with something else, a small silver sculpture Mia made at school. Imperfect, beautiful, honest. A better future deserved a better symbol. And for the first time all night, I felt something warm unfurl in my chest. Not forgiveness. Not hope. Control. The kind that comes when truth finally stands still long enough to face it. And I was ready to rebuild everything from here.